Christmas dildos moving up and down. They'll call him Crypto Krown. You've got to TA to be free, free, free. Learn how to surf in the deep Red Sea. Trend lines, average values, RSI. Lift ocean coins to the sky. From Mr. Buter into XRP. Oh, there Jesus set us free. Crypto what? Crypto Krown. Drifting Lambos through your town. Hodlers better buckle down. Cause it's the final crypto what? Crypto Krown. Drifting Lambos through your town. Hodlers better buckle down. Cause it's the final countdown. Open has the mastermind. Dive into Crypto Cave and let's go for a ride. The whales are coming very soon, soon, very soon. Up to the moon in the afternoon. Crypto what? Crypto Krown. Drifting Lambos through your town. Hodlers better buckle down. Cause it's the final crypto what? Crypto Krown. Drifting Lambos through your town. Hodlers better buckle down. Cause it's the final countdown. Crypto Krown. Drifting Lambos through your town. Hodlers better buckle down. Cause it's the final crypto what? Crypto Krown. Drifting Lambos through your town. Hodlers better buckle down. Cause it's the final countdown.
Well, motherfucking well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It's a lovely Tuesday morning out here from a very dark Helsinki, Finland. Getting back in the live stream swing of things and really enjoying it. Had a good time yesterday, but hopefully today I can actually make sure that the video doesn't get blocked by YouTube. So to explain what happened yesterday, I should probably let you in on what YouTube does, or what I typically do with these live streams when I used to do them quite frequently about a year and a half ago. And I would play music beforehand, and usually what would happen when I play the music is that YouTube would reappropriate the advertisement revenue that would typically go to me, the creator of the video, to the creator of the music, which is completely fine. It's all good, you know. I think it's completely worth it. But for whatever reason, with yesterday's video, when I used someone else's tune, a tune that I've actually used many times before, they didn't just reappropriate, or they didn't even reappropriate the fucking advertisement revenue. What they did is they literally just blocked the video, which was kind of strange. Anyways, with that said, apologies for that. So we'll be working on it today, I guess, and hope for a better result. And I want to talk about a few things kind of going on in the market right now too, just because there are some really interesting stories going on right now, especially with the way that we saw Ethereum yesterday on KRAKEN go. Actually, several cryptos, I believe, on Ethereum that trade on margin had some pretty dastardly days. But before we get into, well, do we want to do the dashboard first? You know what? We'll come back to that. Yeah, we'll do the dashboard first. How about that? Because it does play into the Bitcoin dominance analysis right here. We did see Bitcoin dominance also shoot up a little bit from yesterday to today. So it's breaking the range. We have seen it caught in range between about 60.5% to 61.5%, of which Bitcoin, as it does put on these mega moves, we do see that altcoins are essentially losing on the whole. So that does play into the reversal narrative that we did suggest over this past weekend for Bitcoin dominance, which means that altcoins, whether Bitcoin USD goes up or down, they are not going to be having the best time for this next little phase here. Anyways, with that said, into the Fear and Greed X we go, and still at a 94. So I guess there wasn't enough red dildo party yesterday for whatever reason. That seems a little bit out of place, and we do see that open interest also coming down significantly from yesterday to today, which I do think that Did you say Ethereum on crack? No, it's on KRAKEN the exchange. Sorry, bad tongue action in the morning. Anyways, open interest, yes, coming down significantly. So yesterday we did see it, and over the weekend we saw it around 9 billion, pretty much the highest read that we've ever seen. Well, ever actually, and now coming down more than 1 billion from yesterday to today, alongside price action coming down pretty much $10,000 within a singular day. I would say that would be longs taking profits, which still does play into the overall narrative of a long-term healthy market. Now, of course, short-term, medium-term, does that mean anything for that when you have a $10,000 day? Fuck no. So to differentiate timeframes for different traders, of course, different, or we're gonna have major different focuses going on right now. But I would say still that higher-term timeframes, as they have not broken those downside pivots, that $51,000. I don't really have anything new to kind of add there. And hey, what's up, Alex? Hey, thank you for joining on the member side. Fuck yeah, man. Our lovely trusty moderator right there. Actually, I should moderate you up. In fact. Yeah, I thought that you were a moderator already. Anyways, there we go. Alrighty, there he is, knighted in for eternity, or as long as he wants. And so yes, we do see again open interest dropping off significantly with price action. So remember, the narrative of the market as open interest was heading up, as price action heading up, and volume was also heading up throughout the whole January to February continuation phase. That was indicative of continuation. Now that we see it coming down, this is going to be more indicative of sideways consolidation, likely on the short and medium term timeframes, and then the higher term timeframes. I still do look at them as more or less unchanged as long as $51,000 does hold. Big if right now, but actually, to kind of spoil a little bit of surprise, I actually do think that it holds, and there's several reasons wise going on, and also I do not know English. Unfortunately, I also don't know any other languages, and thank you for joining as well, Mr. Rocher. Looking at it down here, we do see that the funny rate per exchange has backed off significantly from yesterday to today as well. Actually, most exchanges are still operating right around parity. Bybit, BitMEX, Huobi, all around 0.01%, which is nothing. We do see FIAMEX, same thing. Deribit, basically same thing as well. FTX, the only outlier here at about 0.15%. So I would look at this as likely coming into normality. So we saw the funding rate, as you can see right here, trend up and up and up to where it was essentially staying above that 0.1% threshold for about 3 days at a time. I think we did see over this past weekend, and once again getting a nice local top on Bitcoin price action. But as we see open interest come down and also the funding rate come down, that does again play into the narrative that I actually would be looking for this next range to be created, and likely we'll talk about continuation points soon enough. Anyways, with that said, now I want to talk a little bit about it's like, what do you want to talk about? Let's talk about KRAKEN for a second, because I think that this is actually potentially helpful for some people out there. Now, I want to preface this conversation before I get into it by saying this is not intended to fucking rub salt into wounds for anyone who's affected by this yesterday, because this is actually like pretty serious shit, of which I believe one person in the chat yesterday was severely affected, and I just want to kind of point this out and explain why I don't trade altcoins. It's because of this shit right here. When you see something like this on KRAKEN, which is actually kind of notorious for these absolute death wicks, this is why I have no interest in trading altcoins, because you do get these very illiquid markets. Now, how does something like this happen? Well, first, you need a fucking illiquid shitcoin market. Well, Ethereum is actually not all that illiquid compared to most altcoins. However, even with Ethereum, this sort of thing can still happen. Should I have even seen it with Bitcoin and KRAKEN, to be honest, too? But that was years ago, so it's never gonna happen again, right? No. But more importantly, how does something like this happen? Well, it's a function of both low liquidity, flimsy fucking books, plus plus these very volatile markets. And what can happen in those sorts of cases? Well, you can imagine that when you do have an exchange like KRAKEN, which is not known for its massively heavy, massive heavy liquidity, it only takes a few people, a few quant firms really to kind of chart out people's stops, which they actually can do. They actually do have the technology to do such things. And once they realize that they can cause a bit of a cascade of liquidations or stop losses, or even a combination of both. I mean, it doesn't really matter what does it. At the end of the day, they can create that selling pressure. Books are flimsy as fuck. No one's picking up. I mean, you maybe have like a quarter Ethereum bid every like $5, and all of a sudden you're coming all the way down to what would be the daily 200 simple, where just a lot of people probably have some resting bids, probably even the firms that caused a price action like that. So with that in mind, I do want to kind of caution against this for the people, especially who are newer within this market. Obviously, I'm not your fucking dad, I'm not your fucking mom, and I don't claim to be or want to be, but I do think that it is important to kind of talk about these sorts of things, because this is a reality of the situation and the wild west era that we live in within cryptocurrency land. So with that in mind, I sincerely hope that no one was too badly affected by this if you were on this exchange, and just keep it in mind. Again, I'm not telling you what to do with your life, but I do think that it is important to kind of talk about potential or major pitfalls in this case, as I'm sure a lot of people they probably had some damn good positions, maybe even well below $1,000, but when you get something like this that almost gets bought up immediately afterwards, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And by the way, I actually want to show you this over here on Twitter. How do I explain this? All right, so this is one of the main guys at Kraken right here, Jesse Powell. He's a bit, we'll say, tone deaf, and I want to give a shout out to both Bitcoin Vix in Low Strife and also Johnny Mo for this one as well. Johnny Mo, the actual guy who's bringing it up, but Bitcoin Vix, really good guy. Low Strife, really good guy, and I've spoken with them a couple times in the past, and they're solid. They're actually pretty damn good follows on Twitter. Anyways, this is Low Strife essentially commenting to Jesse, like, what the fuck what just happened over there, and he's basically saying that's not true regarding the flash crash here. And he's like, but what's the hypothesis? It just seems a little bit off kilter to me. I think that as an exchange owner, he'd fucking know. He'd fucking know what's going on there. It's like, yes, you have shitty liquid markets. Now, was that diabolically done? Do they have a trading desk on the other side? Do they quietly partner with with some sort of a quant firm and maybe pass them some extra information? I don't know. I don't fucking know. They are regulated, so probably not. But I don't know these things. I just think that when you have an exchange that does this on what is somewhat a consistent basis, it's something to certainly consider. Anyways, again, not telling you how you live your life, just be aware of the risks with some of these exchanges. And I'd even argue that Kraken, because it is regulated, is why it has these, because you don't have all these fucking wash trading bots. Like, there's actually a lot of good things about Kraken too, which is kind of funny, which makes this whole game completely fucked. Anyways, let's get on to Bitcoin now, because we've had enough with these amazing altcoins, with these fucking amazing altcoins. Anyways, okay, so Bitcoin on the 2-day CME, we actually did close above the topside Toronto band yesterday. I know that yesterday was a pretty damn nasty day. Yes, a $10,000 day. The downside can certainly happen. It actually reminds me of the conversation that we had pretty much at the beginning of yesterday's live stream, where someone said they're manipulating the markets down right now. They're crashing the markets right now, and it was like just $1,000 off the highs. And it's like, hey man, this can get way worse. This can get way fucking worse. Anyways, so I do want to look at this right here again, differentiating the higher term timeframes and the medium term timeframes and the lower timeframes, because medium and lower term timeframes, yeah, they got absolutely fucking wrecked and shellacked yesterday. However, on the 2-day, we actually did close above the topside Toronto band, so that threshold was once again met, 53,300-ish region. I'm going to have a chance to do it on the next closure, not tonight, obviously, but tomorrow. And that next number would be 54,400-ish region. Obviously, the 3-day did not, but I still look at this as more or less rising wicks right here. And do we still have rising wicks? Yeah, we still do have actually rising wicks right here. So there is, so on the higher term timeframes, actually do still remain more or less, long-term bullishly biased. Short and medium-term timeframes and underlying market dynamics like funding rate, like open interest do suggest that Bitcoin plays out a more, maybe not a super prolonged, but somewhat of a sideways consolidation phase for a little bit of time while this essentially gets resolved. But for right now, I could look at this in two ways to kind of judge the next sort of potential reversal on higher term timeframes. Obviously, low term timeframes, medium timeframes, not falling within the same guise of this conversation. But the easiest way right now would just be looking at CME 3-day. If we take out last 3-day low at 48,320, I would be looking at this as a confirmed high right here. This is going to start to look like a doji dodo spinning top, whatever the fuck you want to call it, a signal of indecision reversal, which would be confirmed with continuation below the low. In this case, that would imply short-term target back down to about $45,000. Very likely a bounce there, with potentially continuation implied to $39,000, depending upon how strong that bounce is. Now, of course, there are ways to do this on the lower-term timeframes as well, albeit not as steady. I'm looking at the volume profile right here. It is pretty damn synonymous with what we see on this horizontal as well. Same thing with this guy over here, although I would chart it a little bit lower. Anyways, more importantly with this, we can start to come up with low-term timeframe and medium-term timeframe ranges here once again. So low low-term time frame ranges are going to be what we're stuck in right now, between about 51,000 bucks to the upside versus our current low structure about 48,000 bucks to the downside. Anything within there, not really giving us too much for the short-term timeframes. However, closure back above 51,000 bucks, I would look for Bitcoin to once again give another try back up somewhere around 53 to 54,000 bucks. Only relevant again for the short-term timeframes, and that would still pull in the higher-term timeframes, still solidify the higher-term timeframes as being more or less constructive, and this being likely another reaccumulation phase setting up. Again, when Bitcoin does something like this, do I immediately just fucking buy into it? No, we need to see more. We need to see more first before judging. I mean, this is literally less than a day's worth of price action as we've seen thus far with it, after putting in the top. So I don't think that this is actionable in and of itself. We need to see a little bit more of this range first before either getting ultra bullish again or ultra bearish again. But below 48,000 bucks, that's where things really do start to change for the medium term timeframes. I would look for a quick move down to about 44,000 bucks. So that is about a $4,000 move right there. That is certainly relevant, especially on a $40,000 number. I mean, that's almost a 10% move, right? Very likely a bounce implied here, but that's at the point where the long term does start to come into question. So that is where I do start to get like overall bearish, calling highs on this rally, and looking for price action much lower. Do I think that that's what's going on overall? No, I do not actually. I think that this is more or less, again, based off of the underlying market dynamics, more or less a likely reaccumulation range setting up once again. The question is, where does the low actually get put in? As fucking always, it's not going to be easy, of course. Anyways, as we are on the lower term timeframes, I should denote a couple things here. So first and foremost, the Stoke Momentum Index right here, we do see that this trend line that's been holding all the way from January lows to late January lows to early February lows is once again going to be retested if I actually draw this properly, and it's going to be retested literally on this next tick. Now, here's the thing. We actually do have data that tells us what price would be needed in order to cross this back onto the upside, and it looks like it's going to be pretty fucking unlikely, actually, as it would have to close back above about 59,300-ish region. So what I'm looking for is any sort of a loss of momentum to the downside. Should I buy now? Okay, this is a great comment. Should I buy now? Sir, if you base your fucking investment decisions on just literally 4 fucking words, should I buy now? On the internet of all places, you're fucked. You're fucked, man. Pull down your pants and get ready for the red dildos. They're coming in nice and dry right now, baby. Oh, you're gonna fucking love it on a Tuesday. I can tell you that right now, Mr. Okay. Lemon Ortega says, bye. I'm convinced. Am I gonna be rich now? Okay. Well, I think okay will give me the refund. So if that doesn't work out, so fair enough. Anyways, I'm all in, baby. I'm all in on fucking dildo coin, huh? So yes, I do look at that trend line as still very much relevant. Again, let's just talk about what these last lows were. Okay, so this was, again, 21st of January. That was this low over here. That is this low over here. That is this kitchen fucking motherfucking low over here. Oh, I can hear it in the background right now. I better not hear those goddamn forks. Anyways, so that's one low, 2 low, 3 low, and this was the last accumulation phase within the low $30,000 risk region. So if we do kind of come, if we do respect this trend line, that actually would be looking, I would be looking at that as some sort of bottom or algo reaccumulated on that trend line. Just one of the simple ways that we can kind of look at that. Again, that would also obviously assume that Bitcoin doesn't break below on a closing basis, of course, 48,000 bucks. That's going to be a big pivot for the medium term timeframes, which I would say that the 4 hours kind of on the edge of. Anyways, this is also of course on expanding historical volatility percentile, and we also do see that 4-hour RSI. Well, it's like hidden bullish evidence and bearish evidence. What the fuck? Actually, the hidden bullish evidence did play out. I mean, we did get that move from 48,000 bucks to 55,000 bucks. We did speak about this on the Twitch stream yesterday as likely to bounce within that region back up to 55. But a quick rejection after that means you better take your profits, I suppose. Anyways, I'm not trading lower term time frames right now, if you can't already tell, because this move actually didn't cause the sweats as it typically would. Anyways, 3 hours also going to have that same sort of hidden bullish evidence, but that one got sold into as well. Is it going to be building once again, however? Well, it depends where you take it from. But no, we actually might have regular bullish evidence if this puts in a local low right here. So I would say that is relevant for right now. But of course, has it put in a local low just yet? No, it has not. How would it confirm a local low? Well, there's not really anything indicative of a local low anytime soon. It looks like if you start to see some sort of like an obvious stop and go point right above $51,000, then yes, that would likely be it. But I think it's way too early to kind of tell that as well. So that's why I'm saying mostly on the short term and medium term time frames, sideways, maybe a little bit, maybe test the downside again as I stutter around my fucking words. But higher term time frames, I'm actually still very much unchanged on those. Again, as long as as long as those pivot points hold. 2 hour, what do we see right here? 51.5, going to be the magical number for keeping momentum to the upside. I do like the 2 hour bouncing off the 200 simple and 200 exponential average. Does it come back down there and grades that area again? Maybe yes, but I do overall like it for a bounce. Also volume profile kind of adding up with that as well. Volume profile I have on my charts today, which I actually typically do look at, to be fair, but just kind of further confirming where I'm putting my horizontals, to be fair. Anyways, taking that off right now because they're almost getting at one and the same anyways. I do look at that as well, more likely to bounce within this region than not. Let's go into the medium term time frames now. Let's go to the 12 hour. Let's see what we got right on over here. And we got momentum turning down. Nasty, very fucking nasty actually. And then we got what about a 12 hour RSI? We have nothing really building up right here except for this. We do have, of course, this trend line coming in from the last couple lows. This was middle of January to late of January, or I guess early February maybe. Again, where were these price points? That was this low right here and this low right here. So again, both of the accumulation lows from the prior market phase. So I do look at this as still kind of within the context of the of a greater of a greater what's it called? How am I going to explain this? Of a greater reaccumulation over time, essentially, over time. So if that plays, so what we would expect if these things are going to work, like the 4 hour Stoke trend line and like the 12 hour RSI trend line, is what I'd look for is on the next closures. We want to see some sort of response that is indicative that it is going to actually get picked up there, meaning, it has to lose momentum to the downside first, then start to reverse, which is going to take time. That would at least take another, at least another day and a half to 2 days before like accurately, accurately judging that one, unless you actually get the breakdown first and foremost, which is why we charted out the shorter term timeframes. Again, that would be your 51,000 level and then your $48,000 level as well. What do we see on the daily right here? And momentum turning down, not good. Daily RSI, same sort of thing as well. In hindsight, a little bit of bearish divergence there. So the person asking about that yesterday, yeah, that was certainly very much confirmed. And then you get your test down to the 21, not bad. But where do we go from here? As I'm actually not getting much else from the daily as it is. Let's go to the 2 day and bouncing off the 10 simple. Also daily bouncing off the 21. Very likely stuff on the first pass. Now here's the thing: we do have a 3 day closing, I believe, tonight. Today the 23rd. Yeah, today. Hold on. My eyes are really god awful. Jesus Christ, man. I actually can't see this. Okay, is it the 23rd? It is the 23rd. Yes, it is the 23rd. Okay, very cool. All right, so that means that, yes, we are closing the 3 day today, meaning that if the 3 day does close something like this, anywhere below the last 3 day low, that would be, which would actually be below $51,000 as well, we will have a bit of a bearish engulfing dildo in place right here as well. And that actually will confirm regular bearish divergence, 1-2 stabs coming in from this high on 7th of January, and then this more recent high put in right here. And that actually would start to suggest moves back down to $39,000 to $40,000 base. Also a very extreme strong likelihood of bounce there as well on higher term timeframes, not just relevant for short term timeframes. So keep an eye on that, as that will potentially even be confirmed as soon as later tonight. But again, I do want to go back on over here to our long-term trending charts, because while I'm talking about all these potentially bearish things, I'm actually not looking like that at all myself. Again, I want to remind myself that the weekly did close above the topside Toronto band coming into this past week. Same thing on CMEs as well. I mean, for what it's worth right now, we have a backfill in last week's open. That's typically a traditional, traditionally high quality trade. On top of that, we have the 2 days still trending above, although this one very unlikely to, but we do see the same thing on CME as well. So I do look at this as are more likely to follow the overall trend until proven otherwise. So that means that I'm never going to get the ultimate high. It means that I'm going to get the lower high though. And that's what gets you out at $16,000 in 2018, but not $20,000. And that's just the way that I trade, I guess. Anyways, what else do I want to talk about before we get into maybe just maybe getting some questions? God damn, man, I can't fucking speak today. Can't fucking speak. See what caretaker ranges are suggesting today. I imagine we are. Yep. We're getting that same $48,000 number to the downside, although this one is in a short-term downtrend, obviously. To the upside, not relevant for our purposes right now. Let's see what the 4-hour says. I'd actually not agree with the hourly in that case, so I'm right. Caretaker's wrong. Just kidding. Yeah, 4-hour agrees with my ranges here. About what do we have? About 48 to the downside versus 55 is going to be your medium term pivot to the upside. There is also one other thing that would be obviously very bullish here too, which would be taking out yesterday's high. That would be about $55,000, almost even. So with all of that in mind, if I'm just kind of wrapping up my thoughts on Bitcoin, yes, there are certainly some concerning things going on right now, absolutely. But at the end of the day, I don't look at it as really changing the longer term picture of this just yet. Those pivot points are very obviously documented below that $48,000 level, especially. And in short-term timeframes, the ranges I think are quite clear as well, albeit rather large, which is good for, especially for range traders right now, which maybe I want to go back and do that because this is actually looking pretty fucking juicy. Playing between 48 and 51 on the short-term timeframes, above 50, actually it's more like 54 on a closing, 55 on a wick for continuation to the upside, and of course to the downside, 48 going to be that nice pivot for a more potentially even longer-term trade. Anyways, yeah, I think that's just about it for Bitcoin. Let's see, we've already been doing this for about 32 minutes. Do we want to talk about anything else? Yeah, let's go check out traditional markets really quick. I want to see what NASDAQ did yesterday, as it did come down to our 13,300-ish level. Nice. Ooh, baby. Sometimes that TA hocus pocus. Sometimes it actually... Nope, it's just hocus pocus. It doesn't matter. So we did get that 13,300-ish level that we were looking for yesterday. Actually, even lower than that. Wow, all the way down to 13.2. Not bad, but on closing basis, yeah, about 13.250 actually. So right there in the middle. Anyways, let me take this off for the time being, put back on our drawing tools right here, and now playing in a bit of a range here as well. However, I would be more angled to the downside on this one in the short term. We do see, hold on, did we see actually hidden bullish divergence on the daily potentially building? Potential, actually, yes. Actually, potentially, yes. And that would actually be in the no, it wouldn't be in the same line as that trend line, but fair enough. My point is that if it were to put in a low right here, which it's not going to do today, extremely unlikely today, it would take at least another day, another full day of trading to actually confirm this. But if it were to stop and reverse right here, what I want to see is I want to see today close something like this, and then tomorrow close above about 13,350. Then yes, I would look at this as a local low, and then we would have hidden bullish divergence, and then I'd be looking for a move back up to about 13.6, maybe even higher than that. But for right now, it is a bit more in limbo, and actually would be more angled towards the downside here. Remember, the weekly closure was a bit of a reversal right there, a bearish engulfing on the high, which did set on our biases for lower price action coming into this week. We said 11.3, got down to 11.2. Pretty damn good right there, but now it is looking a little more toppy, and we do have potential regular bearish divergence in play now as well, which would actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 stabs. Now, 2 of those stabs way the fuck back on over in 2018, 2019, so I don't know how relevant it is right now, but certainly the last one is, and that would actually start to inspire targets back down towards 12.6, 12.7-ish region. So that's obviously going to be decided on a weekly. For right now in the short-term timeframes, I would be looking at this as very likely to bounce back up here, probably back up towards 13.4-ish region in the short-term timeframes. Well, actually, would I say that? Yes, yes, I believe I would actually. But let's go through the hourly as well, because the hourly actually works a little bit better, representing the sort of medium-term timeframes for traditional markets in comparison to Bitcoin's, like more like a 4-hour and 12-hour. Anyways, looking at this one right here. We do have hidden bearish divergence actually potentially being made right now as well, so not good right there. So probably does come back down in the short term, but I do think that it is trying to put in a bit of a low right here. We do have on the other side 1, 2, 3 straps of bullish divergence, so I would look first for a little bit of a pullback, and then probably to get picked back up again. If it comes back down to 13,250 to 13.3, I do think that's a high quality bounce area. Ultimately, on the short term timeframes, I do think that this one bounces back up. Can that lead back into the higher term timeframes? Yes, but still going to take a couple days here at the very least. Hey, appreciate that, Stylic Tears. All good, man. All good. 20 and up. 20 and up. What? Let's go check out SPY futures over here. This one a little bit more obviously in bounce territory, it looks like to me. Yes, it is working on a bit of a lower high right here, but typically what you do see on those lower high continuation drives is you will see hidden bearish divergence. We actually don't have that right now. So I do look at this as a little bit more likely to lead NASDAQ here. This one's not as dire, certainly, and the 4 hours a lot more obviously indicative of a short-term reversal here. So I would, I I would be putting these both in the same pot essentially. And I'd be looking for them to pop back up somewhere around for SPY about 30, what is this, 39? A little bit above 39, around 39.10-ish region. For NASDAQ, I think that same sort of corollary area would be 13.5 to 13.6-ish region. And does that bode well for Bitcoin? I mean, typically these things do trade together, so yes. Anyways, okay, what else do we have? Do we want to look at euro dollar? Probably not. Do we want to look at, actually, I want to see what MicroStrategy did yesterday during that whole move. I'm still looking at this as actually likely to put in a little bit of a local low. We do see a bit of a gap fill right there. Maybe not exactly. Hold on, let's see what it looks like on a daily. Yeah, I still look at this area as likely to bounce it. Maybe a little bit of a stab lower towards 835 region, but I would be looking for this one to pop back up. After that, I actually do still like, well, this one's more or less going to follow Bitcoin anyways, but so I guess it doesn't really matter my thoughts on it anyways. Let's go check out Link as well. Link taking it on the chin yesterday. Jesus Christ, Link. We actually didn't look at Link over the weekend, which I'm typically bullish on, but in this case, I guess I guess I didn't see it. I don't think I was looking at it over the weekend. Would I be looking for it to bounce off this region right here? Yes, I would, to be fair. At least on the short-term timeframes. However, there will be issues below 2685 region. 2685, kind of that critical region. If that area does start to break, which, hey, what the fuck? Why is this? This is not the right chart. Is it? No, this. Hold on. This doesn't look right. Something's off here. Something's off here. Let's see. Where's maybe we go Finex. Should we go Finex or should we go FTX? Let's try FTX. Okay, we got 27.5. All right, well, whatever. It's a fresh chart. Anyways, it would be this area right here that I'd be looking at for a greater trade. If Link does break that region, I'd actually be looking for it to come down significantly more, probably towards about $21, 21 to 22 bucks. Anywhere around here would look about right. Would be a pretty fucking nasty move too. Anyways, with that said, I think we can get into some conversations now. I think I've wrapped up everything that I want to say on Bitcoin. Short-term, medium-term timeframes, sideways, more or less within a range. Higher-term timeframes, I suppose, as long as as long as 48,000 is not broken, I'd actually still look at this as more or less fine. So with that in mind, let's go on over here. It's all good, Emre. long the thumb smash like equals Bitcoin all-time high. That's right, man. If you actually it's like you can just do what I say and you can have all of your dreams come true. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, manipulations. What's up, Philson? Ethereum, check it. Yeah, man. We looked at it earlier on this video. Is this a moneymaker? What's a moneymaker? Porky Pig says, I'm a real pig and no one cares. I actually would care because I fucking love pork neck, man. I ate so much of that shit yesterday. I ate about 2 pounds in one sitting, and I could easily eat 2 more. It's really actually amazing. In fact, I can't believe that I never even knew about pork neck before, because I always thought that like steak was like the best, like a ribeye was the best thing of the best thing. But no, pork neck's actually pretty damn good too. Bitcoin hasn't been this low since last Thursday. Yeah, I mean, perspective on these sorts of moves is also of the utmost importance. I mean, people are going to talk about this as a pretty nasty pullback, which it is. I mean, top to bottom, we are talking about another pretty much 20% retracement right there. Not so long after Bitcoin got its own about 33% retracement over here. But remember, this is very much historically within the context of what Bitcoin has done in the past. I mean, all these retracements over here are about anywhere between about around 30%, give or take about 5% off that. Stalactors says, I know this is just an opinion, but do you think Bitcoin hit 6 figures in 2021? No, I do not. Or at least, I don't know. That's not really my game, timing those sorts of things. So I'd say just no at the outset, because I haven't really put too much thought into it. Do I think that it can do it over time? Yes. Do I think that I think a better question would be, or a similar question that I think I'd feel more comfortable answering is like, does Bitcoin get to 6 figures in this cycle? Yeah, I do. I think that that's possible. Yes, I do think that that's possible, based off of the long-term analysis that we did over this weekend and also uploaded last week as well. Michael Saylor buying the dip. Did he tell you? Did he tell you personally? Good pamp. Let's see. Can you show it on the ADX? Can you show what on the ADX? You just talk about just what time frame, what asset, what do you want to see on the ADX? There's a lot going on right there, man. Is Bitcoin going to drop any more tonight? Yeah, it's gonna drop about at least a $0.50 within the next 5 seconds here. So again, define what that means to you, man. Let's see. How long might this sideways downside last? Again, not really something that I think that even can be done. Like judging like the length of a move. I don't think that can be done, or like timing that sort of a thing. What I look for is more price levels that are indicative of continuation, or in this case, reversal. So with that in mind, I think it'd be more important to talk about those levels rather than like, I think that this will happen within a week. No, I mean, if it is going to happen, it probably spends a little bit of time within this region above, right above $48,000, and puts in a little bit of time there. I mean, maybe at least 5 days, maybe 2 weeks of sideways action. That's typically what the going rate is on these shorter consolidation phases. But I mean, could we be setting up for another like month and a half long consolidation like we saw in January to February? Possible. However, usually these continuation phases do go on a little bit longer before they get one of those more long-term consolidations. I think I missed some over here too. Hey, all good, Daniel Garcia. All good, man. Fuck yeah, it sounds like you're making money. That's excellent, man. That's absolutely excellent. Much love as well, Mr. Red-Lipped Beauty, or Mrs. Oh, it's a lady. Oh, nice. Jason says, can you lay over your matrix chart over the caretaker top out chart? Actually, I have them already all there together to begin with. It's just, it becomes really fucking messy here. I can show you really quick. I believe you're talking about this chart right here. You're talking about the long-term matrix chart, which would be, let's see, actually, is it on this chart? No. Oh, no, I'm on the wrong one. Let's go to BLX. Yeah, there we go. You're talking about this. It just gets too messy when I do something like that. But actually, right now would be a really good time to look at caretaker's reverse on that pie top indicator chart. And let's see what we're looking at right here. So, okay, a couple things stand out right now. First and foremost, I want to measure out the actual percentage that we are away from current price action. That's about 93.5%. Remember, this really is not problematic, at least historically speaking, until it gets below, at the very least, 80%, and realistically, it's 75% where like real issues come. But 80% is kind of like last chance for love. So to me, this is still not any way, shape, or form actionable or even relevant to what we're looking at right now. Again, things start to like crater into. Hold on, let's actually go to. Or I might have done this wrong, as we need to do this on a daily here. Hold on, I'm curious if that actually does change it. Actually, it probably does. Hold on. Let's double check on this one. I want to double check on this one just to make sure. Yep. Okay. So it actually does look like it's in the exact same area. So no, it is not time frame dependent. No. Okay. Yes. About 93% down. Yep. Okay. Got it. Let's see. Elite Truck Repair says, dude, if you ever want a sweet custom car or a truck built for you, I'm your man. I'm down. I'm in. I'm convinced. Can't even. I don't even think you can drive in Helsinki because it's so goddamn icy here. But I'm in. I've always wanted a pimped out truck. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. But yes, very, 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 very far away from it right now, which is, obviously did take a, quite a big leap from what we last looked at on Sunday, I believe it was, to today. But still, that's going to, just imply time here. So if you are trying to time the top, again, this is not really going to give you a good way to like forecast a time for that. What it will do is it'll give you like a warning signal within maybe like a week or two, and you can kind of judge it as it comes down. Now, it does come down somewhat aggressively. Again, we saw about a 2% decrease from this weekend to right now, but that's again going to be a function of the current price action and how and how violent it is. So there's just too many variables to forecast in that equation, I would think. It only becomes relevant, again, when you see something like this right here, where it's like, okay, we are below that 80%. All right, let's zoom in a little bit more. Let's do this. Come on, TradingView. Jesus Christ. There we go. You can see this top in what was it, 2018. Obviously, things really started to get aggressive right around here. This is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days before the top, and you can also see that it's actually making a low below the prior low that you saw, like a significant one as well. And that was right around here, and that was about 70%. and even even if I do go to like 75%, like I was kind of suggesting earlier, I mean that's not the high. It does spend actually another another segment putting in a parabolic advance, going from all the way from 16,000 to 20,000 bucks, which doesn't sound like much, but again, percentage wise, that is pretty damn big. I mean that's a 14% move right there over the course of about a week before the actual high is put in. So with that again in mind, I do think that it can give you a warning signal when things get that dire, but before then, too many variables, it's at least in my opinion, to kind of judge this one. Anyways, Bitcoin's still kind of getting that bounce on lower term timeframes that we spoke about. So I do think that I do think that they hold here, man. I do think that they hold. Just short term, medium term timeframes going to be sideways. Higher term timeframes going to more or less retain their posturing. Anyways, I'm pumping Cardano. Lombardi says, Krown, if the is that a head and shoulders on the hourly? Is that what you're saying? If the head and shoulders on the, I'm just going to interpret it as head and shoulders on the hourly RSI confirms, I think that would concede with the breakage 48,000 bucks or implied move down to 48. Probably more likely a move down to 48,000 bucks. Here's the problem though. This is not a head and shoulders right here at all whatsoever. I'm not the biggest pattern trader myself, but that is in no way, shape, or form a head and shoulders. Head and shoulders is typically a reversal pattern, not a continuation pattern. In this case here, this would be continuation, especially on RSI. Now on price action, you do see it as continuation every once in a while. It's not super it's not super common, but it does happen every once in a while. On RSI, does not happen very often, if at all, in my recent memory for Bitcoin specifically. That is, but yeah, popping back up to 51,000 bucks right there. Again, I do look at this as, likely to kind of retain itself. Again, we're just dealing with big numbers. So I'm going to sound like, I guess, a delusional moon boy for a little bit longer because I'm still unwilling to call this as a full-on breakdown just yet. Take a look at the yes, we literally just looked at it, Mr. Junior Riggs. We just looked at it, man. Is my 41,000 long Safu crown. Not unless if you trade on Kraken, probably not. So there you go. I know it may be a while until we get another signal, but does the airplane indicator imply direction or just an increase in volatility? Traditionally, it's actually only been up. It actually has only been up. So for the people who are wondering about this fucking airplane indicator, look, I shouldn't even talk about this shit because this is just ridiculous and it sounds absolutely absurd to myself, but it has happened 4 or 5 times now, which is just, I don't know how to explain it. I don't even think I can, I shouldn't even try to explain it because I don't think that it can be. You know what? It's just a fucking coincidence. All right. 5 times in a row. I don't know how to explain it, man. Daniel Garcia says, thoughts on LLIT? Okay, I'm hoping that this is like an actual stock and not shitty cryptocurrencies. Hey, nice, it's a real thing. Lian Lu, is that the computer case manufacturer? Is that the same one? Okay, very interesting off the lows, but if it is a Chinese stock, I do shudder to pull out the long-term analysis on this one because it looks something more like this. It's typically what you see on these things. I don't know what it is, but just something that I've seen. No, maybe that's Leon Lee or something. Does that make sense? Oh, it's Elsa. Hey, what the fuck? You're an imposter. How did you become a mod? Get her out. No girls allowed. Get the fuck out. Out. Who fucking invited her? Who do you know here? All right, so LLIT. Again, I don't... I'd like to know what this is all about here. I mean, it's a long-term downtrend, man. To me, this looks like a pump and dump. It does look like it's kind of in a pumpy pump phase, though. We do have a golden cross going on in the daily, so I would favor the short-term upside here. Maybe pops back up towards like 15.5 bucks, but as typical with this thing over the course of the last 10 years, 11 years actually, I'd probably be looking for that to get spit out once again. Pump and dumps continue to be pump and dumps for the most part. All right, did I miss anything else? I think I got that. What time is it? Is it gym time yet? Not yet. Money Grows on Trees says, hey, girls allowed. Lol, JK. Lol. Yeah, that's right. Get the fuck out. Sorry. Wait, except if you're a transgendered girl, then you can stay in because that's racist. And being racist against real girls is not. So makes no fucking sense. KSM, is this a ticker? Or does that mean Something else. Okay, it looks like it's something real. It doesn't trade all that much though, so that's a little bit concerning. I really stay away from stuff like this that you know where you see like these days where it doesn't even trade. I mean you're seeing like this is the daily chart right now, so you're seeing a day right here, for example, where it literally trades. It actually didn't trade. It stayed at 11:22 the whole fucking day. That's the high and the low. It's usually not a good signal, man. So unless you have like some sort of insider information, I don't think that this is. I mean, this looks like a shitcoin chart. I'd imagine that the long-term downtrend's probably going to continue though, going all the way back to 2011, something like this. It looks kind of bad. Oh, it's a crypto. Oh, motherfucker! This is going to be even worse. Let's see. All right, let's do it on Kraken. How about that? Oh, gee. Okay, this is actually pretty damn good. I eat my words, sir. Probably new all-time highs. It's pretty fucking good. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. It's good. Yeah. Hidden bullish evidence coming out of the breakout. Probably damn good. What's up, abs? How many more TD9s? I don't know. Ask Mr. Tony Bays. Is he still doing his thing, Tony Bays? Can we look at silver? Actually, I am kind of curious to see what silver is doing throughout all of this, and gold as well. I didn't check out gold yesterday, so I actually would like. Looking at the daily right here, looks like that was a 4 hour. Looks like a very obvious sideways consolidation range, but show me the daily, baby. Show me the girthy daily dildos, and the weekly too. Hey, what's going on? Hold on, let's go back to is my internet broken? Come on, Finland. Okay, no, silver is broken apparently. All right, there we go. Bullish on the daily. I'd be looking to pop back up to like $29 and probably break out over the next couple months. This actually, does look good here. It actually does look good. Probably long term, heading back up to like 35. Let's see. Nero Strudden says, "Love when you stream, bro. You should go live more." Well, I went live yesterday. I went live today. Should I do it 2 times a day? I don't think I can handle that, man. Gold's down. Let's check it out. Yeah, I do think that we were bearish on gold last I remember, but I'd still hesitate myself to get in a trade there. Just don't trust it. Let's see. No, it's bouncing. It's bouncing, man. What are you talking about? Bounce off the 55, but would I be looking for a lower high to be put in here? Probably yes. Although, does the bounce continue first? Probably also yes. 4 hour hidden bearish evidence, probably. If you do see a local high confirmed here, I would be looking for another move back down towards like 1770-ish region, but a little bit too early. How would a local high be confirmed here? Closure below 1805, we'll call it, or 1806. And I'd call this a local high here. Hidden bearish evidence probably brings it back down like 1780-ish region. Tone Vase is busy joining the insurrection and finding no COVID restriction jungles. Hey man, there's not really much coronavirus restrictions here in Finland. Although that's the dirty C word nowadays too. You can't say that one on YouTube, otherwise your video gets like a little notice below it. You said the C word and you didn't say you didn't say what we wanted you to say. You're out. You're out. GameStop to the moon. Is GameStop still a thing? Is GameStop still a thing? Let's see. Last I looked, this thing was done, and I think it's still done, actually. Yeah, this thing's done, man. What did we say? Like a month ago, we said this thing's coming back down below $50. And it's actually down below $50 again. Does it bounce here? However, I do think that it probably is in a bit of a bounce territory. I do think that it's probably setting up for a dead cat bounce relatively soon. Dead cat bounce in a situation like this where you just have a kind of an outlier of a situation can get really fucking crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if it even popped back up to like 150 on a dead cat bounce. But overall, the high is in. I don't think that this thing ever sees $300 ever again, unless if some like actual fundamental change does happen. Like an actual fundamental change. I'm not talking about a fucking name change or something, or like we rebranded to Game Go or some bullshit. Can you check out Sea Love? Sure, Clove. Is this a crypto or a real thing? This looks real. This looks real. However, it is also a shitty chart. Crypto people love shitty charts. I'd be looking for this one to go for the full retrace, baby. Oh, it's a pump and dump. If you pump it up, you must dump it back down. If you pump it up, you better call. And they're gonna fucking wreck you up, buddy. Oh wait, you couldn't even hear the shitcoin, please. Sure, sir. We got some shitcoins on the loose over here. Where the fuck are those goddamn? What the? Hey, motherfucker. Hold on. How dare you? How fucking dare you, OBS? Fucking piece of shit. It's not good, man. This is a pump and dump. Do you want to see what another pump and dump looks like? It's a pump and dump. Actually, this is a little more of a pump and dump chart right here. XRP BTC going for the full retrace as well. You shaking my tralala. La la. Hello, sir. Why number go down? Any news? That's right, there is news. There's news of more sellers than buyers, and they represent that in the charts by taking the by tickling the red button instead of the green button. Don't forget to like and subscribe and smash that fucking bell on your face. Fucking hate that shit. Okay, so Elite Truck Repair says, actually, dude, I'd love if you could look at ENJ BT. Okay, this is one that was really popular in 2018. I'm very curious to see where it is right now. Okay, so first off, on KuCoin, Bittrex and HitBTC. So that's really great. All the best exchanges right there. And what do you know? Oh, we have a straight down motherfucking chart. God damn it! Call them right now. They're going back to the shitcoin jail. Yeah, this thing's going back for the full retrace too, man. This is awful. It's really bad. Really bad, actually. Really bad. Really fucking bad. What about versus USD? I imagine it's probably okay versus USD. Let's see. But he can't keep up with the old comb there. Can't keep up with dinosaur coin. Guys, why do we even look at Bitcoin anymore when we have new technologies like ENJ coin? I don't know. It's just less of a pump and dump than that, I guess. This is actually a pretty good chart here, to be fair. I mean, you actually do see a couple years of accumulation, rising bottoms ever since 2018. To be fair, it actually probably does get a nice upside move over time. Kronzik says, Adam, please. Also, can you define local highs and lows for people? I have hindsight on 10-hour signals for Ethereum Link. Okay, defining local lows and local highs. Well, I just use Characters Indicator now, and I'm lazy as fuck, and probably don't even know how to do it myself. Hold on, this does not look right. We need more history than this. Maybe a Binance will have some shitcoin history. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So hold on. Let me reread that. Okay, Adam, please. What about it? It looks pretty good here, actually. It looks pretty damn good. Now, well, I wouldn't say short-term time frames, but on a daily, does it look like it's just going to continue the green dildo party? Probably not just yet. Probably does have a little bit more of a pullback. Wouldn't be surprised to see it back down towards like $15, maybe even 14 to $15. But long-term, I still do like I would like this chart. Yes. Weekly's good. Monthly's fine. Maybe March is a bit of a consolidation month, but long term, I actually do like the signature down here. Defining local lows and local highs. Okay, in short, it's basically just a stop and reverse point. Can be based off of many different things. If you're going off of like actual dildo formations, can come in, well, should we go over dildo formations first or pattern formations? Fuck, how long do I want to spend talking about this? Okay, so stop and reverse point. I think if you're just familiar with very simple forms of technical analysis, like reading dildos, essentially, you can look at some like a spinning topic, for example, as a potential top. But what confirms this as a top? How do you confirm this as a local high? Well, what confirms this as a local high is when you actually get that continuation on the reversal. How would you get continuation on reversal if you're looking at this as indecision and a potential reversal? Well, you'd obviously have to continue below the low of the prior. In this case, that happens on that continuation drive below 38,760.5, it looks like, and that's a more aggressive way of doing things. Of course, if you're looking at this from a more conservative stance, which is the way I actually do things, I'd look for a closure below the low of the prior in this case. So you do see that this one closed below the low, and there you have your reversal. Boom, down, puts in a local low right here to the upside, gets a bullish engulfing dildo right here. So if you're just looking at dildo formations, then that's a very simplistic way of doing it. Is there a lot of ambiguity with that? Yes. Is there a lot of waiting and patience with confirmations? Absolutely yes. Otherwise, you can get into a lot of trouble when looking at a lot of this shit over here. What's another way of doing it? Well, patterns as well. I mean, if you look at let's say what's going to be a good one here that's currently on the screen. I know what we can do. We can go back to this area over here. If you're looking at like market cycles and you're looking at like a pattern of a macro cycle, what can we see over here that confirms this is a local low? Well, we have an obvious accumulation phase in beginning of 2019 coming off of the death drop in 2018 right here, puts in an ascending triangle, which is a reaccumulation formation. Now, of course, I've seen every one of these fucking patterns break out the way that they're not supposed to. In this case, it does break out in the way that it's statistically more likely to do. And of course, where do you get your confirmation of a local low? Well, I mean, there's several on the daily below here, obviously, yes. But if you're looking at this on the whole, as far as the cycle goes, then I'd look at it on the breakout of the top set of resistance, which is how to trade that specific pattern. So it depends what sort of vein you're specifically talking at. Like, are you talking about on on like a short-term move like this, kind of what we're seeing right now, or are you talking about on like a market cycle structure? So many ways to do that. Those are two very, very simple ways of doing it. Are they the best ways of doing it? No, I wouldn't say so, but they're probably the easiest to kind of first learn and then work on from there. And I think just knowing that sort of basic stuff is just generally valuable, because it's always going to play into like some variation of analysis. It gives you some angle to kind of hit things with, just more tools to kind of lean into. Boulder Club Kreuzberg, man, that's definitely German as fuck. Thanks for your work, sir. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Who makes your intro videos? And show the people Kusama KSM, who makes the intro videos. Actually a really good old friend, but and I don't mean to like bring the fucking mood down or anything like that, but he actually died this past summer, so it's kind of like a special video for me. Really fucking good friend, but difficult times, I guess. Difficult times. So I know a lot of people in this community actually knew him as well, Mr. King Harold. So just a really fucking sad situation, actually. Anyways, KSM. As I adjust my tone once again, Jesus, man, heavy. Anyways, KSM, what does it look like on the whole here? It looks like it is in some sort of death throes of fucking derping over here. Is this supposed to be a crypto though? Hold on. I feel like this is a crypto. Yeah, it is a crypto. Of course, you're asking about a fucking crypto. Pretty good here. Pretty good. And to be fair, with something like this, we're noticing something very, very obvious right now. So if you remember, with a lot of the cryptos that were around during the 2017 cycle, they are getting some okay moves. To be fair, but it's nothing like the new hot shit, which is mostly the DeFi sector that has only been around for like the last a little bit less than a year, right? Or I guess, well, certainly less than a year. Around September this past summer is when DeFi really started to blow up, right? Anyways, as you can see here, these ones look completely different to what we see on something that's been around for like the last 5 years, like a Litecoin, right? Litecoin can barely even hold on to its lows. Maybe a bad example because this one's like extra shitty. But for the most part, even the stronger ones that we've seen, they aren't doing anything comparable to what these new coins have done. So my point is that if you really are compelled by the altcoin, shitcoin market, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and you're looking for the fucking lottery ticket, and again, this is not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor. Do not listen to people on the internet for financial fucking advices. Obviously, buy or sell, red or green button. I'd suggest maybe not considering the older ones. The new one's actually going to be a little bit better for that, because they don't have that overhead resistance. They don't have that overhead pressure. And you have to remember that with something like Litecoin, right? You have all these people. Well, I'm making a simplistic argument here, obviously, but you technically speaking have a lot of people. In fact, the majority of people, the vast majority of people, about more than 90% of people, it looks like, who are not in profit. So they're potentially holding dead bags. It's relevant to think that at least some of those people are. Obviously, not all of them. Of course, some people have sold along the way. That's how you get price action like this. But my point is that those people, they probably want to get out at a more reasonable area, whereas the KSM chart that we just looked at right here, there is nothing resembling that, because it's completely new, so it doesn't have those same sort of issues to deal with from a technical standpoint. You missed my super chat. Can you please look at Terra Luna? Is Luna the ticker? Luna the ticker. Apologies on that one, man. I do try to do my best with that, but sometimes things just move fucking fast, and I'm very much imperfect myself. So if you need to remind me, you need to remind me. It's all good. Luna, pretty fucking good. Again, another example of something that was not around in 2018. It doesn't have to deal with those overhead resistances that a lot of these newer ones do. So in this case, on a daily, it's very clearly flagging out right now. I'd be looking for this one to probably retest the highs and probably make new all-time highs over the next month or two. This looks very good, very fucking good. Again, this is like an incredible rally. This is ridiculous. At some point, the chickens will come home to roost. roost or whatever the saying is, with the chicken and the egg and that whole shit and who crossed the goddamn street and whatever the fuck at that point. But in this case, right, I mean, this is like one of the most obvious bull flags I think I've seen in a long time. Even has hidden bullish divergence coming off the low as well. Yeah, I'd be looking for this one to actually make new all-time highs. Probably somewhere around 20,000 satoshis over time. Nope, we're not looking at XLM because XLM is quite shitty too. Hey, what's up, Kato? What's up, man? Yeah, there you go. BTC is the strongest crypto chart with legit history, even 2018, even surpassing Link. Interesting. Okay, so if something is doing that, as you are saying, which I have no reason not to believe you because you're Nate, man. I know Nate. Well, no, no, I disagree. It's not as strong. No, it is not as strong as Link. No. Well, on a Bitcoin chart, yes, it would be actually. It would be stronger because this one is making new highs as of recently. It does deserve respect. Anyways, the more important thing that I'm trying to say is I'm actually trying to have praise for something like this. This actually is more or less good. I would be looking for it to bounce somewhere around here. If it came down to like 4,900 satoshis, I'd be looking at that as kind of like an obvious bounce area as well. But even on the short-term time frames, I'd be looking at this area as well. No, just got a death cross. No, actually, no. I'm short-term bearish on this one. I'd be looking for this one to come down somewhere around like 5,000 satoshis or 4,900 satoshis and probably bounce there. Long-term though, good, and certainly does deserve a bit of respect. Let's see what this daily looks like right here too. No, it would be breaking this trend line if that was a trend line. So yeah, I do think that it guns a little bit lower here in the short term, but that very likely does get picked up. That is actually one of the better charts that we've seen just in general today. Actually, very impressive in a lot of cases. Can we look at the dominance chart? Yeah, we can look at dominance chart, and then I think we'll probably call it a day. Been doing this for we've been doing this for an hour. I think that'd be a good time to call it. Dominance chart. I'm still looking at it as a reversal, man. Especially with the way that we saw the underlying market dynamics from the information on the Krown chain application that we looked at the beginning of the stream. I'm looking at this as a reversal right here, man. This is your classic 3 drives. I'm sure someone's going to call this an inverted head and shoulders. It technically would not be considered such, but it is a reversal formation nonetheless. When you see something like this on that 3 drive territory, yes, I do understand that there is a death cross on here, but I do not care at all whatsoever about momentum oscillators, about moving averages, about any indicators on the dominance chart specifically. Specifically on the dominance chart, all I care about is trend and formations. And in this case right here, I think it's pretty damn obvious that this one is putting in a bit of a low. This would also be considered a macro higher low above that prior 58% low. And I'd be looking for this one to probably over the next few months pop back up north of 65, 66%. And then I'd want to see it in real time after that. But yes, I do think that we have seen the lows for the dominance chart as of right now. And we're going to see it just kind of like grind its way up from here. And then maybe in like the upper 60s, we might see another big down again. Do more of these YouTube live streams. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate that. What's up, Crypto Kitty? How many? Wait, Crypto Kitty. No one's kicked you out. Crypto Kitty. Here, I think I know what's going on here. Crypto Kitty. So if you're talking about the Discord, the issue with the Discord is that we have this security bot that sends you a private message when you join on in, and you have to complete the verification on that security bot within 10 minutes. Otherwise, it'll just automatically kick you. So it's not that you're banned or anything like that. It's just you need to answer the private message within the 10 minutes, and then you can join back on in, no problem. And it'd actually be cool. Anyways, hey, what's up, JJ? Holy shit, man. Yeah, it's been a long time. Actually just started doing these again. So yeah, man, all's good. Hope everything's good in your part of the world too. Zuriel, here, we'll end on this one. Bitcoin have more down? Question mark. Sorry if I missed the beginning when you might have gone over it. Quick recap before you sign off would be great. Actually, you know what? We will do a quick recap right now. That'd be a good time. Okay. Okay. So let's set this up. Let's get ready for the ready for the end here. So I want to be looking at short-term timeframes over here. Got our ranges nice and well acclimated. I do like that. And then actually there is one thing that I wanted to do on this stream as well. I do want to take a bullish retracement on this from the last segment. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm actually not seeing it line up with too much. What about if we take it from this region right here on our medium-term time frame range? That actually line up with a little bit more, to be fair. But either which way, I actually still favor this one anyway. So I think if it's not fully conclusive, if it's not fully obvious, then it's probably not worth looking at. In that case, I think I was looking at a bit of Jesus toast there rather than something verifiable, which this one over here has been a lot more consistent with. Anyway, speaking of, I should probably adjust that so it's actually proper. There we go. All right, nice one. So that's going to be our low-term time frames. Let's go over here for our higher-term time frames. And, okay, yes, we have this area as well. All right. Maybe we go to this chart, actually, just a little bit better history here, just in case. And, also, I want to see what our oscillators are doing here, too. Okay. Whoops. Uh-oh. Just dropped everything over here. Alrighty. All right, we're going to start off on CME once again. All right, let's see how bullish I can get on this bitch. I need, you know how I do my YouTube titles is I just type in crypto on YouTube and I read what he says and then sometimes I just copy and paste it. Thank you for that, Mr. Chris. You're great. You're awesome. Actually really like him. 3 hour Joule hindsight. 3 hour Joule hindsight played out, man, but hindsight analysis unfortunately is not very helpful. But we did, to explain it, if you are in the Joule, I think that this might be helpful. So we did look at, we did look at the 3 hour and the 4 hour Joule sell signal yesterday, which we're building. But I said that I wouldn't look at this as actionable until Bitcoin breaks below this 54,000 level right here. That happened pretty much right after the stream, actually, and that became very much actionable. Now, here's the thing: if you have the Joule, do I think that you're gonna get a fucking 13% move down every time that you see a 3 hour sell signal? No, I don't. So while I would have looked for about a $3,000 move down to about $51,000 support, I wouldn't have looked for further continuation on top of that. Okay, cool. All right, so let's get ready for this. Oh, and also, do we have any? Okay, so we want to talk about the trend line. We want to talk about 12-hour RSI, yes, and yes, and then long-term time frames over here. All right, let's wrap this bitch up. Bitcoin on CME did close 2-day dildos once again above the top side Toronto band yesterday, which actually does make me favor the higher term timeframes for a nice reaccumulation phase, as the lower term timeframes are in a bit of a sell-off right now. So as always, you need to differentiate between the higher term timeframes, the medium timeframes, and the low term timeframes, of which high term timeframes still more or less fine, at least as long as these conditions are met that we're going to lay out soon enough. And then low and medium term timeframes, they're in complete limbo right now. Anyways, 3-day right here as well did close yesterday, and we still do have that rising wick narrative. And I would even look at this rising wick as actionable in and of itself as well, meaning that if we do come back down below a last 3-day low, which is this is only for CME, by the way, only for CME, 48,320, then I would look at this as a spinning top dildo, plus continuation below the bottom side, and I would target a move back down towards the $44,000 to $45,000 daily, or sorry, 3-day base right there. However, until that happens, I actually do still remain, or I do still look at this as likely to reaccumulate based off the weekly, based off both the weekly trend and also the weekly Toronto bands here, and of course what we saw in spot price action, which closed on Sunday, and following through as well. In fact, the way that I look at this as it is right now is just a backfill in last week open and back up. The problem is we're dealing with humongous numbers here, so if you're looking at it on a low term time from like a 4 hour, well, it's gonna look completely dastardly. I mean, and it is dastardly. That's a $10,000 move, of course. Anyways, going into low term time frame right now, and again, specifically differentiate between these two, I would look at these as the range. So the short term time frame range, or what's relevant to the short term time frame range, is $51,000 to the upside versus about $48,000 to the downside. Meaning that if Bitcoin does break the $51,000 region to the upside, I would look for a medium term time frame range to extrapolate from that. Probably does explore back up somewhere around $54,000 to $55,000, and that really starts to pull this in as likely a reaccumulation phase where Bitcoin is going to spend some time oscillating between about mid $55,000 and upper $48,000 region right here, and just put in time split by the $51,000 level right here, relevant for the short-term timeframes. And that would play into the narrative of the higher-term timeframes still kind of more or less constructive and reconsolidating after a bit of a blow-off right there, to be fair. Now, by the same token, while we could look at the 3-day as potential downside continuation point, I would also be looking at the low-term timeframes right here at the $48,000 level, meaning that if $48,000 does break on a 4-hour closure, even a 2-hour I do think would get this one. Yeah, 2-hour would get this one as well, as we do see the 200 simple and 200 exponential average get very, very dangerously close to each other, which actually has created many sell-offs in the past, and also many up phases as well, as you can see right here, just for reference. Then I would be looking for a $4,000 move to the downside, actually, all the way back down to about $44,000 base. That's where the long-term does come into question once again. If the long-term, if we do start to see higher-term timeframes close below there, like a 12-hour, like a daily, or if I were to do this on a 4-hour, and I would not use a lower-term timeframe than a 4-hour, I'd use $44,000. If I'm looking at a daily, I'd use $45,000, just this last little higher low right here. And if that were to be, if that condition were to be met, I would look for extension all the way down to about 39,000 bucks. So now we're talking about, you know, $6,000 move-ish region, which is pretty fucking nice. And I would be looking for bounces off about 39,000 bucks. Now, of course, one thing before the next, of course, and on the lower term time frame, we actually do see a few things that are interesting right now in the short term. We do see that 4-hour Stoke trend line is coming in all the way from January 22nd, which is the prior accumulation range, which I think is rather interesting. I'm talking about this low right here coming out of the $30,000 base, this low right here, the actual low in that $30,000 base, and then your third drive right here on the reversal at about $33,000 base. Well, that same trend line is going to be tested on this next closure here. So keep an eye on that one. If this does start to break, well, that would probably be a damn good indication that we probably will, at the very least, come back down and break test 48,000 bucks. And could we actually have enough momentum to break it on increasing volatility? Probably, yeah. Probably, yeah, to be fair. Also, keep in mind on the 12-hour, we do have a 12-hour RSI trend line coming in all the way from essentially that same area as well. So I do like the confluence right there. And the 12-hour trend line would also, if it does hold, imply that this is rather constructive price action. So this is actually the big one that I'd be keeping an eye on, but it obviously closed a little bit later than the 4-hour, being that it has another 5 hours and 14 minutes to go. And if that were to hold, or sorry, what would be indicative of this, of this likely to hold? Well, I'd want to see this start to turn back up again. I'd want to see it bounce off this trend line. If that starts to happen, then yes, I'd look at that as likely to, again, trade sideways on the medium and short-term timeframes. On the higher-term timeframes, just kind of reaccumulate. So with all of that said, continuation points and pivot points on both sides there. I think that's a good area for me to stop this video. I want to massively thank everyone for coming on out. Hopefully YouTube does not block this video again, and it's been an absolute pleasure. So we'll probably be back on tomorrow doing the same thing, same time, same place. I'm going to try to keep this consistent around what would be 7:30 a.m. for myself, as that's just a good time because I wake up at fucking 5, and we'll see what we got. So, and also, of course, we'll do the late day wrap up video today as well. Anyway, so that said, saluting you once again. Take care.